QRadar helps you monitor cloud environments alongside the rest of your enterprise security data so you can quickly detect high-risk misconfigurations, targeted threats, and the exploitation of cloud resources that could cause your costs to quickly skyrocket. Here we have a high-magnitude offense that appears to have started with a spam email, followed by the suspicious launch of the command shell, abnormal login activity, and highly abnormal AWS activity. Let's see what's going on. In our offense screen, we can see an overview of what happened. Based on the description, we know there was a suspicious login to AWS. A massive number of EC2 instances were created, and some data may have been exfiltrated from an S3 bucket. We can see the number of events and flows involved, and that Daniel is our impacted user. We can scroll down to see the top IP addresses, log sources, and users involved. In this case, we see a combination of AWS CloudTrail, Microsoft Windows, and Cisco IronPort log sources, along with pre-built custom QRadar rules. Let's scroll back up to start reviewing the events in more detail. From the events page, we can see each event that contributed to the offense. Since there were 221 contributing events, we can group the events by type to make our review process easier. The first items we see are related to a potential spam message. By clicking the Mail Server Info Message event group, we can look at events in this group. There's only one event, but let's see what we can find out. Using data from Cisco IronPort, QRadar was able to extract the email details. The subject line was urgent, AWS bill, and the email included a similarly named attachment. Daniel was our recipient, and the magnitude of this event is 10. If Daniel didn't read the sender's email address in detail, it could appear legitimate. But upon further inspection, we see that it actually came from an unknown domain. Let's go back to our events to see what happened next. We have a similar event that indicates an email with an attachment was received from a known spam sender. And shortly after the attachment was opened, a new process was created. Next, we can see that Microsoft Word launched a command shell, and then multiple AWS console logins occurred from different geographies. Let's look at these console logins to see who and what was involved. By hovering over the IP addresses, we see that one login came from the UK, which is where Daniel is based. And the next login came from an IP address in Russia. Clearly, Daniel didn't change countries this quickly. Let's go back to look at the next event in more detail. In the event description, we see the key takeaway of this event: credentials may have been stolen. We can also see suspect IP addresses involved. By right-clicking the IP address, we initiate a search in X-Force Exchange. The risk score associated with this IP is a 7.1 out of 10. And according to Threat Intelligence, we have reason to believe this is a command and control server. Now that we know more about this IP, let's go back to the events again. After the malicious login, we have a group of run instance events. Each individual run instance event represents the creation of a new EC2 instance. If we scroll over to the event count column, we see there were 208 total events, meaning 208 EC2 instances were spun up in a short period of time. Given the chain of events, this attacker is likely creating new AWS resources that could be exploited for cryptocurrency mining. This could cause your AWS costs to quickly spike and cause financial damage to the business. However, the attacker didn't stop here. Since they had AWS admin access, they also pulled the list buckets, which shows all S3 buckets in the AWS environments. Then they invoked an API from a Kali OS, which is suspicious in itself since authorized users have no reason to use Kali. We see that the API invoked by Daniel's account was getObject, which successfully retrieved some type of data. And lastly, a database backup was downloaded from an S3 bucket. In this case, it appears the attacker not only tried to use our resources for cryptocurrency mining, but they also used their access to capture some type of data. We can now escalate this offense to determine what was taken and respond accordingly. Watch the next video to find out how QRadar can help you address other security use cases.